Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of The Unfortunate Reality. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about Trump's Kangaroo case over Stormy Daniels, or as the internet likes to call her, Sloppy Daniels. In July of 2006, she allegedly slept with Donald Trump. Now, if you've read her book, which I haven't, and this is what she has to say about people who don't read her book.
Hearing it and seeing it, I think a lot of people it really hit home, and also a lot of people didn't read the book. I wrote the book because I wanted to get my story out, and then I realized a lot of people don't read. So yeah. I should have made like a picture book. Well,
yeah, apparently we just don't read books. No, Stormy, we still read books. We just don't read books that are boring and also hold no actual truth or value. Also in that interview, she says,
original sexual encounter you say you had with Trump in 2006. Now, you've always called it consensual, yes, but in the documentary, you elaborate that you felt misled and cornered, yes, by him, and that you feel partially responsible for the women who may have come after you.
Yeah, I am so glad that you asked that question, because I have a very, no offense to Sarah, who I guess is sort of a journalist, it's journalists are the bane of my existence, but also, so it's, they've given me this opportunity. It's clickbait, everybody, it's clickbait. If I see the word bombshell one more time, I'm gonna become a bombshell. Yeah. Like, I'm just gonna explode. But it's not new information. Everything that I said in the documentary, I said in my book in 2018 and before that. And if you go back and listen to the podcast I did with Michael Cohen, and I think it was 21 or 22, whatever it was, it's verbatim the same as the story that I tell in the documentary. Why is it the same story? Because I'm telling the truth and I haven't changed my story.
Really? So, she claims that her story has stayed the same the entire time this case has taken place, which just so happened to be right as the time that Donald Trump became president, 10 years after she allegedly slept with Donald Trump, her story comes out. She also states that she didn't want her story to be out in the first place, that she was afraid for her life, and that if she took the hush money, then Donald Trump wouldn't be able to kill her or her family. So Stormy Daniels' story never changed, she claimed.
The door to the hotel opens, and what is Donald Trump wearing?
Silky pajamas.
And they were black pajamas, yes, right? Yeah. So he immediately looks like a Halloween pumpkin or something.
I'm pretty sure I thought he was channeling Hugh Hefner.
Ah, Hugh Hefner, right. You mentioned
significantly less sexy.
You made him change, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you made him change? Yeah.
You made him change. He did change.
Yes.
I wish you could make him change now.
He followed orders much better back then.
I don't know. I think maybe you could still order him around a little bit. And,
I'd have to speak in Russian, though.
You guys had dinner.
This is very good.
Oh, this is very bad. I know, this is very, very bad.
What did you guys talk about at dinner? I know because I've read it.
Actually, we never had dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he lied to me. I'm very food motivated. That's why I stayed and held out for so long, because I was told there would be snacks. I was starving.
And
maybe that's part of why I was easy prey, because I was, lightheaded from.
But he did talk about himself a lot.
Yeah.
You did see a magazine on the table or something.
No, he pulled it out of a bag.
He pulled it out of the bag.
And I kind of refused to acknowledge it.
He's on the cover of the magazine.
Yeah.
And you don't know for sure that it was Forbes, but you thought.
No, I don't think it was. I think it was a money magazine. Somebody else made up that it was Forbes.
Whatever it was, you spanked him with it. What does he do? Like, when you spank Donald Trump, is he like...
Are you arching your back?
Yes, I want to... Is he like leaning forward and going like... Oh, you know, like,
You want me to show you?
yeah, I would love you to show me. Thank you, yeah. Yes.
Stand up.
Oh, I do,
But it actually has changed several times, whether or not Donald Trump was in his underwear when she got there or when she came out of the bathroom. She, the first time, was talking about how she was playfully spanking him with a magazine, looking through his toiletries in the bathroom, and then when she's on The View, she's talking about how she doesn't know how she got on the bed. She doesn't know how she got there. She doesn't know what was going on the whole time. She didn't say no, but it really borders on sexual assault because she really, really didn't want to. Yeah, isn't that like all sex work? I mean, I can't imagine that there's too many men you want to do anything with career. So your story has changed. And your demeanor has changed. Now, 6 years later, when he's actually in court, 6 years ago, you're dressing like a porn star and a prostitute. 6 years later, you're dressing like you go to church every day. Like you go to church every Sunday. You married a pastor, like you married a pastor of a church or something. So your demeanor's changed, your attitude's changed, and parts of your story have changed. I'm not a detective, but I will tell you that anytime somebody's story changes, even just in the minor details, it's because they're lying. And that's why we're claiming that it's kangaroo court. Because all politicians have some skeletons in their closets, especially the males, have been found sleeping with people that they shouldn't have been sleeping with. Now, whether Donald Trump actually slept with her or not, which I don't believe he actually slept with her, and I think that's what's really the pissing in her kettle, is because not only did she come out with this huge story about Donald Trump sleeping with her, now she's claiming that it was basically sexually assault. And I think that at this point, admitting that nothing really happened would be worse for her. So she's just going to go along with the story and keep incriminating him and making it worse and worse as time goes on. I don't feel sorry for you. You're a sex worker. You chose this line of work. Then you brought a child into this world and didn't do a very good job at protecting her because you came out with your story. And again, the left is telling you how brave and wonderful and great you are for doing so. So of course it feels like you're doing the right thing. It borders on parents who tell their children that they're transgender and congratulate them. It borders on parents that tell their kids that it's okay to be transgender, and then when they come out as transgender, telling them how brave and wonderful they are. Of course, that's the story that they're going to stick with. Nobody wants to be the bad guy. Nobody wants to be a liar. But in this case, I don't believe that Donald Trump did it. And even if he did, all that he really ended up doing was sleeping with somebody that he shouldn't have and then paying her off to keep her mouth shut, which she didn't keep her mouth shut. So I think she should just give the money back to Donald Trump, to be honest with you. And putting her family and her life at risk in the process of doing so was a really stupid thing to do. I am sympathetic if she does really receive death threats on a daily basis, but again, you put yourself in the public eye. As you said, you're not being paid to do any of this, and you still chose to go on 60 Minutes, Jimmy Kimmel, The View, and write a book, and do a documentary. So you put yourself in the public eye. We didn't do that. You did that. I don't feel sorry for you. And that's why it's a kangaroo case, because there's really no substantial evidence that Donald Trump did anything wrong in this situation. Maybe morally wrong. Maybe if you're religious, in God's eyes, it's not okay. Maybe in the balance of karma in the universe, it was wrong. But in regards of being president and the law, it's not. It's not wrong to do that. So there's really nothing to go off of besides the fact that if Donald Trump paid her during his campaign to keep her quiet, then that should have technically been counted as a campaign charge, which it was not. And so that is currently what he is being attacked for. Let's take a look.
So far, 14 minutes in, they're keeping calm, both of them. Michael Cohen pled guilty back in 2018 to federal charges, including campaign finance relating to the Stormy Daniels payoff, including lying to Congress, and then separately having nothing to do with Donald Trump, including bank fraud and tax fraud, both of which related to his taxi cab medallion business and his personal finances.
Yeah.
If I could pose a question to Lanny, Davis, because I think it goes to the heart of the matter here.
Michael Cohen is speaking very evenly with a calm, even tone. So that would be like what we heard in his congressional testimony when he was so well prepared by Lanny Davis. Please continue.
When it comes to the key piece of testimony about what Michael Cohen and Donald Trump discussed at that White House meeting in February of 2017, is Michael going to say there was explicit communication with Donald Trump? We're going to structure it this way. We're going to do it to make it look like legal fees so it hides the Stormy Daniels payment? Or is Michael going to go back to the mob boss testimony, which he's given before, and said, well, it was more of a wink, wink, nod, nod. He sort of told me, do what you got to do.
So the one thing I'm not going to do is to predict.
So if the conversation between Blanche and Cohen in the courtroom, where Cohen actually never talked to Donald Trump about giving Stormy Daniels hush money, that would mean that it would be completely on Michael Cohen and Donald Trump's chief of security. And Donald Trump would not have any blame taken on him. Now, there is no real reason why yet that has come out as to why Cohen broke his loyalty to Trump, because he was often seen by Trump's side. Although Mr. Cohen was not a central part of the Trump family business, he was often at Mr. Trump's side in the decade before he became president, including helping him sort out difficulties leading up to the 2016 election. So there's not a real reason why Cohen and Trump had a falling out. Again, my guess is that he was offered some kind of payoff from the Biden administration, somebody in the Biden administration, which I'm sure we're not going to hear about for maybe even years to come. And he ended up getting the raw end of the deal, and now is a bitter, disgruntled employee who is now testifying against Trump. Now, I know a lot of people would say, well, that's just because you love Trump so much you don't want to see that he's a bad guy. Look, if he really did pay off Stormy Daniels, I think that and slept with a porn star, I think that that's morally disgusting. There's no real evidence besides Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen that this all happened, both of which have been now caught lying through the years on the internet. That's the thing with the internet. You start posting things, you start making videos, you start doing interviews with famous people, you can go back and look at those interviews and see where their stories don't match up. So both of them have flip-flopped their stories. Both of them have lied about minor details and bigger details in their stories. And they are the only two witnesses that can attest that, first of all, Donald Trump even slept with the porn star. And second of all, she was paid hush money through the campaign money that should have been put as campaign money in the records instead of being tossed under the table. I'm sorry, but if those are your only two witnesses, I have no choice but to believe that maybe none of this even happened in the first place. And now we're going to do our final segment of the day, which is Heroes into Villains. For this one, I've also chose a simple and sweet one as well because, well, I honestly didn't get a recommendation, and I usually get a recommendation for my Heroes into Villains, so I just went off of one that was popular a couple of months ago, so I realized that I'm jumping on the bandwagon late on this one, but I'm going to put her on my show just for fun. Madonna! Look at this face. Is it a Muppet or is it a person? Who knows? Actually, what's funny about this is that my 8-year-old walked into the living room. I believe I was watching Matt Walsh, and he had her picture pulled up on his show, and it scared my 8-year-old. He was like, oh my gosh, who is that? Is that a person or is that for an alien movie? And nope, it's a person. She's just had her face completely butchered. What's that song by the Red Hot Chili Peppers? Pay a surgeon very well to break the spell of aging. Well, it seems that that song is more relevant today than it was 24 years ago. Because now all of the celebrities believe that they can still look young and vibrant and in their early 20s, even though that they're in their 50s. Instead, we're just getting mutants and monsters. So I guess this Heroes into Villains is about Madonna because she started this whole thing. Maybe she didn't start it, but she looks the freakiest and probably the weirdest out of all of them. And because so many little girls used to look up to her in the early 2000s, and she was once a beautiful creature and could have been a beautiful 50-year-old woman, but instead looks like something that came from Hellraiser. she is now on the villains list. Because if you are a woman who is beautiful, who makes music, and women look up to you, little girls look up to you, you should age gracefully so they can understand that looking old, or even looking 50 when you're 50, 50 isn't even that old. There are beautiful 50-year-old women. There are handsome 50-year-old men. There is nothing wrong with looking 50 when you are 50 years old. So Madonna, for looking like something from Hellraiser and influencing young women all over the world to go and get plastic surgery, even though they're probably beautiful just the way that they are, you are now on the villains list. Maybe just try to look regular. You don't look beautiful. You look just awful. I don't care what you post on your Twitter. I don't care if you think that we're all hating on you. We're not all hating on you. We really do think you look like a fucking creature from another planet. I'm sorry. But you do. Anyway, as always, hug your children, have a great weekend, and may the odds be ever in your favor. And thanks for joining me for another episode. Don't forget to subscribe and click the like button. Have a wonderful day, guys.